Assalamu alaikum everyone. And Eid Mubarak. Okay, so the correct answer is 0.2 is the correct answer. And no, you don't need a calculator for this, but that was the test actually, to try and work it out without a calculator. I'm good, alhamdulillah. What about you? So you guys have an exam tomorrow? Is that correct? English? I'm good, alhamdulillah. So those of you who are watching, I'd really appreciate if you would like the stream and also do subscribe if you haven't yet, so we can start. So today what we're doing is we're doing number sequences. Now in IGCSE particularly, there are some very complicated questions of number sequences. So you have cubic sequences. By the way, I made a video on cubic sequences. I hope it's clear. And you have, generally you just notice that questions on number sequences are quite challenging. And not just that the fact that they're challenging, they also carry a lot of marks. So that's what I'm going to do today, inshallah. I'm going to solve some past paper questions of number sequences. Now, this worksheet that I've taken out, I've attached a link to it in the description. You guys can download it from there. This is from Save My Exams. Okay. Save My Exams is a great resource, by the way, to download worksheets, notes, and everything. In case you don't have a subscription of it, then I don't think you can get access to the solutions. But if it's, I would strongly suggest you get the subscription, by the way. When is the next O-level stream? This week is about to end. Coming week, inshallah, I'll do another yearly past paper. Okay. This stream will, inshallah, last till 11:30 max. Okay. Anyway, so let's start. And by the way, these are some really hard questions that we're doing. Okay. So yeah, just be mentally prepared. Okay. Now, so this is question number 1, part A. It says, these are first 4 diagrams of a sequence. Okay. The diagrams are made from white dots and black dots. All right. So keep looking at the diagrams also simultaneously. Complete the table for diagram 5 and diagram 6. Okay. So we can do that. That's not a problem. For diagram 5 and diagram 6. Now, if you follow the sequence, you'll notice that here you have 1, which is 1 squared, 2, which is 2 squared, 4, which is 2 squared, sorry. And then you have 9, which is 3 squared, 16, which is 4 squared, so on and so forth. So following the same pattern, the number of white dots in the 5th diagram will be 25. The number of white dots in the 6th diagram will be 36. And there you go. That's the answer for the first row. Okay, only for the first row. And then let's talk about the number of black dots. Let's try and figure out a pattern over there as well. So here you can see that there's a difference of 1. Here you can see there's a difference of 2. Here you can see that there's a difference of 3. Now there will, following the same pattern, there will be a difference of 4. That means 10. And then following the same pattern, difference of 5. That means 15. Okay. And this is the total. That means all we got to do is we got to sum it up. So 25 plus 10 is 35. And just like that, 36 plus 15 equals to 41, 51. And there you go. That's the answer to the first part. Pretty easy, nothing too complicated. Okay. Then it says, write an expression in terms of n for the number of white dots. Okay, so for the number of white dots, that shouldn't be that complicated. Okay, so if you look at the pattern, the first term is actually 1 squared. Okay, then the next term is actually 4, which is 2 squared. Okay, so first, second, third. And then the third term is 3 squared, and then the fourth term is 4 squared. Okay, so following the same pattern, you don't even have to use the formula. You can tell that in terms of n, the number of white dots will basically be equal to what? Will basically be equal to n squared, and that's it. There you have the answer. Okay, so the answer is n squared. So the general term for the number of white dots is basically equal to n squared. Okay, if you want, you can use the formula, but I wouldn't suggest you use the formula because that'll just take forever. Okay. Okay. Then we have this, where it says the expression for the total number of dots in the diagram is 1 upon 2 n. 1 upon 2, 3n square minus n. Okay, and what is the question asking for? In the first part, the question is asking for to find the total number of dots in diagram 8. So that's pretty simple. If you're talking about diagram number 8, that means n is equal to what? N is equal to 8. So you take n and you plug it in over here. Okay, so I'll do this over here. So 1 upon 2 into 3 bracket mein 8 square minus 8. Okay, so let's figure this out. So 3 bracket 8 squared minus 8 multiplied by 0.5. So that's equal to 92. So that means the number of dots in diagram number 8 is equal to 92. Okay, then let's talk about number 2. So for number 2, it says the number of black dots is the total number of dots minus the number of white dots. Okay, find an expression for the number of black dots in diagram n. Okay. So the number of black dots, as you can see, let's make an expression over here. So basically black plus white equals to total. So if I want to find out black, what am I going to do? From the total, I'm going to subtract the number of white dots. So we have everything that we need. All we have to do is just put it all together nicely. So half into 3n square minus n minus the number of white dots. So here we have, now this requires a bit of simplification, okay? So 3 upon 2 n squared minus 1 upon 2 n minus n squared. So this is something that can be further simplified. 3 upon 2 is 1.5. 1.5 minus n is 0.5. So that means 1 upon 2 n square minus half n. And there you go. That's it. That's your answer. Now, any questions? I hope not. Okay. Okay, let me see if you guys have any. Yes, I will be doing O-level past paper. So O-levels may be time. O-levels is what? On the 9th, right? So there's time. Don't worry about it. I will be solving yearly past papers back to back. So yeah, like I said, don't worry. Sir, can we quadratic sequence method on cubic sequences when you minus the new sequence from the original? Yeah, you can do that. Sir, can you show the table again? Yes, here you go. Have a look at the table. Achha, for those of you who are facing problems in M1 paper, here's a suggestion. You can check out the website. I've recently, I haven't announced this yet because it's still not perfect. So you can check out my website. On the website, you'll find detailed solutions of M1, P1. You'll even find detailed solutions of IGCSE, by the way. So you can download it from there if you want. Okay. But I will try and keep streams for M1, inshallah, soon. Okay. Okay, now moving on. Here is part D. Okay, part D is slightly tricky. It's a 5-mark question. Okay, so just be mentally prepared for it. So it says T is the total number of dots used to make all of the first n diagrams. Okay, so basically all of the first n diagrams. So first of all, let's find out the total number of dots. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly take a picture of this. Just a second. And I'm going to bring it over here. So you notice that this is a cubic sequence. Okay. Now I'll tell you an easier way through which you can solve this cubic sequence actually. Okay. But first things first, what's important is, now you can use the general formula for a cubic sequence, okay, but there's an easier way as well. Okay. So first of all, let's understand what the question is saying. Okay. So it says T is the total number of dots used to make all of the first n diagrams. Okay, all of the first n diagrams. So it's not asking you to find out the general term for the total number of dots. Okay, that you already have. So basically, if you look at the number of dots required to make the first diagram, it's 1. The total number of dots required to make the second diagram, that's 5. The total number of dots required to make the third diagram, that's 3. And for number 4, it's 22, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is enough information. Now, what would be the total number of dots to make the first diagram? The total number of dots to make the first diagram is 1. Now, total number of dots to make the second diagram. Okay, and we're talking about the total number of dots to make the first 2. Okay, including the first and the second. So that would be 1 plus 5, which is what? Which is equal to 6. And then the number of dots required to make the first 3 diagrams, okay, all 3 of them. So that would be 1 plus 5 plus 12, okay, 1 plus 5 plus 12. So what's that equal to? That's equal to 18, okay. And then let's talk about the total number of dots required to make all of the first 4 diagrams. So that would be 1 plus 5 plus 12 plus 22. Although this is irrelevant up until here, but just so you get the point. So this is equal to what? This is equal to 40. So basically, we have to find out the general term for this. 1, 6, 18, 40. Now, one method is obvious that you can use the general term for the for a cubic sequence. You can use that, okay? But there's another way to it, okay? Now, you know that the first term is equal to what? The first term is equal to 1. Now, you know what you can do? You can make an equation out of it. How? So basically, by using this information, what you can do is, you know that t is equals to what? T is equals to an cube plus bn square. Okay, so that means if I plug in n equals to 1, so what is t going to be equal to? T is going to be equal to 1 as well. So that means 1 is equals to a plus b. So this is your first equation. And then you can form another equation. Why? Because you know that the second term is equal to what? The second term is equals to 6. You can see here the first term is 1, the second term is 6, the third term is 8, the fourth term is 40. So that means if you plug in 2 in place of n, the value of t is going to be what? The value of t is going to be equal to 6. So that means 6 is equals to a into 2 cubed plus b into 2 squared. So if you work this out, so 6 is going to be equal to 8a plus 4b. And this right here is your second equation. Now what you can do is you can solve these two simultaneously. So use the first equation, and let's say I make a the subject. So a is going to be equal to 1 minus b. And then we can plug it in over here. 6 into 8 into 1 minus b plus 4b. So 6 is equals to 8 minus 8b plus 4b. So let's simplify this. 6 minus 8 is minus 2. Okay. And then if you simplify it further, so minus 8 plus 4b is minus 4b. Yeah, that's correct. So b is equals to what? B is equals to 1.2. Okay. And now that you have the value of b, you can find out the value of a by plugging it in over here. So I'm running out of space here. A is equals to 1 minus half, which means a is equals to half as well. Okay. So there you go. Now the space was enough. It's just that I pasted a picture of this over here, so that's why I ran out of space. So there you go. This is the best way that since you already know what part of the equation looks like and you only have to find out the coefficients of n cube and n square, then I wouldn't suggest that you use the formula that we normally use for cubic sequence. And by the way, if you're not aware of what a cubic sequence is, then I would strongly suggest that you watch the video that I posted yesterday. Sir, koi sa bhi expressions kaise banayenge? What do you mean? Just plug in n equals to 1, set it what it's equal to. Plug in n equals to 2, set it what it's equal to, and that's it. All right. So that's it. That was question number 1, part D. Okay. Now let's do question number 2. So question number 2 is, again, you have to first complete the table. So you have sequence here. So let's follow a pattern. Let's see. 13 to 9. So we can say that we're subtracting 4. Let's see if that's consistent. 9 to 5 is minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So that means 1 minus 4 is going to be equal to minus 3. Okay. So notice that this is a 10-mark question. Okay. So that's a lot of marks. Now let's find out the general term as well. So the general term of any linear sequence or arithmetic sequence is equals to a plus n minus 1 into t. Okay. So in this case, it's going to be a, which is 13, plus n minus 1 into the common difference, which is equal to minus 4. So tn is equals to 13 minus 4n plus 4. So that means tn is equals to 17 minus 4n. And there you go. 17 minus 4n is your nth term. Okay, or minus 4n plus 17, doesn't matter how you write it. Okay. Now for sequence number B, can you observe a pattern over here? So I want you guys to take a good look and tell me if you can observe a pattern over here. So you have 0, you have 7, you have 26, you have 63. All these numbers are very close to a certain number. What is that? Sir, can you show the cubic sequence? Sir, no, O-level students are not required to learn cubic sequence. Okay, so don't worry about that. Sir, will the O-level... No, I already answered that. O-level students don't need to worry about cubic sequences. Okay. Achha. Sir, can you show the cubic sequence? Here it is. Half n cube plus half n square. Okay. Okay, so did you guys observe anything in sequence B? Yep, it's cube. You're right. Cube numbers. So they're not exactly cube numbers, but they're very close to cube numbers. Okay. So like for example, if you look at 0, okay, 0 is basically 1 cube minus 1. Okay. If you look at 7, 7 is basically 8 cube minus, 2 cube minus 1. Yeah. 7 is basically 2 cube minus 1. And then if you look at 26, 26 is actually 27 minus 1, and 27 is actually 3 cubes. So that means it's 3 cube minus 1. And just like that, if you look at 63, 63 is actually 4 cubed minus 1. Okay. And just like that, if you look at the fifth term, so the fifth term is going to be 5 cubed minus 1. So that means it's going to be equal to 124. Okay. So if the fifth term is 124, what is the nth term going to be? It's simply going to be n cube minus 1. Okay. So if you want the sixth term, you do 6 cube minus 1. If you want the seventh term, you do 7 cube minus 1. So if you want the nth term, you would do n cube minus 1. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, now let's talk about part C. So we already have done the working for part B. Okay, so now let's talk about C. So let's start with the numerator of C. So you have 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can see that the common difference is 1. Okay, so we can find out the general term since it's a linear sequence by using the formula a plus n minus 1 into d, which means it's going to be 7 plus n minus 1 into the common difference, which is 1. So that means Tn is equals to 7 plus n minus 1, which means that Tn is equal to what? Is equal to 6 plus n. So there you go. That's the sequence for the numerator. N plus 6 or 6 plus n, doesn't matter how you write it. Okay. Now let's talk about the denominator. Now in the denominator you have 8, 16, 32, 64. So you can see that this is a doubling sequence. Okay. How do you go from 8 to 16? You times by 2. How do you go from 16 to 32? You times by 2. How do you go from 32 to 64? You times by 2. So this is a geometric progression. Okay. Or you can say it's a geometric sequence where a is equals to 8 and we have a common ratio, which is what? Which is equal to 2. Now how do you find out the general term? The general term is found by doing a or raised to the power n minus 1. So that means the general term is going to be equal to 8 into 2 to the power n minus 1. Now I wouldn't suggest that you leave it like that. 8 can be written as 2 cubed. Okay, so 2 cubed into 2 to the power n minus 1. Now same bases are being multiplied. That means you can add the power. So you have 2 to the power 3 plus n minus 1, which becomes 2 to the power n plus 2. So there you go. That's the denominator, 2 to the power n plus 2. Now I'm going to write this nicely so you can see easily what I've written. 6 plus n divided by 2 to the power n plus 2. And there you go. That's your answer to part C. So you can create a pattern with 3 lines of symmetry on a square grid. What does that mean? Sir, is this cube? Yeah, this is cube number minus 1. Good job, Moise. Eid Mubarak. Yes, मैं बिल्कुल ही upload करूँगा. Don't worry about it. All live streams are uploaded with the notes and with the solution of this worksheet. Okay, you'll find a link to this in the description, inshallah. Okay, now question number 2b. One term in sequence P upon Q. One term in sequence C is P upon Q. Write down the next term in sequence C in terms of P and Q. Okay. 10 marks was too much for this question. Yeah, I mean, if you know how to do it, then that's pretty easy. So by the way, I just realized that I didn't fill up this fifth term. So this is going to be what? This is going to be 11. Okay, and what about the denominator? It's going to be 128. Okay, so notice what we're doing. We're consistently adding 1 in order to get to the next term. And in the denominator, we're multiplying by 2. So in sequence C, if you have a term which is P upon Q, the next term would be what? The next term would be P plus 1 of the numerator, and the denominator would simply be 2Q. So that's it. P plus 1 upon 2Q is your answer to part B. Okay. Now question number 3. Let's see what question 3 says. So you have 4, 9, 14, 19. Let's see. How do you go from 4 to 9? You add 5. How do you go from 9 to 14? You add 5. How do you go from 14 to 19? You add 5 again. Okay. So that means here's what we're looking at. We're looking at the common difference, which is 5. So you can find out the general term by using the formula for arithmetic sequence. So 4 plus 4n minus 5, which is equal to what? Which is equal to, 5n minus 5. Yeah. So this is equal to 5n minus 1. So there you go, 5n minus 1. And what about the fifth term? The fifth term will simply be equal to 24. Okay, now let's talk about b. So b mein, here's what we're doing. 3 plus, how do you go from 3 to 10? You can go from 3 to 10 by adding 7. Okay. And then you go from 10 to 29 by adding 19, and then you can go from 29 to 66 by adding, let's see, 66 minus 29 by adding 37. So clearly there's no pattern, but even if I find out the difference of the difference, let's say I do 19 minus 7, so 19 minus 7 is 12, and if I do 37 minus 19, so that's equal to 18. So again, no pattern. So take a good look at it and tell me if you can identify what's being done over here in sequence to B. Sequence B. Normal distribution S1 positive per session. All right, let's see if I can find the time. NQ plus 2, well, you've given the answer. That's brilliant. Acha. So basically, dekho, if you're not able to identify just by looking at it, okay, then just do a bit of trial and error, okay? So if I try and do a bit of trial and error, so one thing that kind of seemed obvious to me initially was that I can write 3 maybe as 4 square minus 1, okay? And then 10 sadly cannot be written the same way, okay? There's no way that you can apply the same pattern in 10, okay? So what you can do is, and this has to be a cubic sequence, okay? I'll tell you why this has to be a cubic sequence. Because the difference of the difference is not the same, so that means it has to be a cubic sequence. So let's see if we can apply that. So 3 can be written as 1 cube plus 2, okay? 8 can be written as 2 cube plus 2. 29 can be written as 3 cube plus 2, and just like that, 66 can be written as 4 cube plus 2. So what about the fifth term? That can be written as 5 cube plus 2, which means it's equal to what? It's equal to 127. And the nth term can be written as n cube plus 2. Okay, so there you go. That's the answer to the nth term of part C. Okay, now the nth term of sequence B, sorry. Now let's look at sequence C. So let's see what we can do over here. So we have 1, 4, let me write it over here. We have 1, 4, 16, 64. So here you can see that this is a geometric sequence. Why? Because you're constantly multiplying by 4 in order to get to the next sequence, okay? So what the formula that we're going to use is AR raised to the power n minus 1. So the first term is 1. The common ratio is 4 to the power n minus 1. And that's it. The general term is equal to 4 to the power n minus 1. So there you go, 4 to the power n minus 1. And what about the fifth term? You can just multiply 64 by 4. And what's that equal to? That's equal to 256. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay. So that's that. That's question number 3 done. Okay. Now question number 4. Let's see what this says. So question number 4, the first part says the sequence of the diagrams above is made up of small lines and dots. Okay. Complete the table. All right. So we have up until diagram number 4. What we have to do is we have to find out the number of dots in diagram number 5. Okay. So let's do that. Let's find out the number of dots in diagram number 5. Okay. And let's count. So basically, and then we'll see if we can identify a pattern. Okay. So let's start with the number of dots. I believe that would be easier to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, so the number of dots are equal to what? The number of dots are equal to 26. Okay. Now let's see if I can find out a pattern for the number of lines. Although I can count the number of lines, but let's see if I can find out a pattern. So here what we're doing is we're adding 6. Here what we're doing is we're adding 8. And clearly you can see that you have a pattern here. We're adding 10. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add 12. So 28 plus 12 equals to 40. And then we're going to add 14. So that's going to be 54. And here we are going to, let's see if I can find out a pattern over here. So plus 4, plus 5, plus 6. Yep. So there's a clear pattern. Plus 7 plus 8, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 34. So you get 4 marks for this, which I think is a pretty big deal. Then it says, find, for diagram n, find an expression in terms of n for the number of small lines. Okay. So for the number of small lines, we have to find out an expression. So let's write down the number of small lines. So the number of small lines are actually 4, 10, 18, 28, 40. Okay. I say, 4, 10, 18, 28, 40. So this is enough. So let's find out the first difference. So that is 6 and then 8 and then 10. That's enough information. And then the difference of the difference, that's 2, that's 2. So that means this is a quadratic sequence, and the general form for the general term of a quadratic sequence is this. Or you can say the formula for calculating the quadratic sequence, the formula for finding out the general term of a quadratic sequence is this. A plus n minus 1 into d1 plus d2 upon 2 into n minus 1 into n minus 2. Okay, so what's the first term? The first term is equals to 4. So 4 plus n minus 1 into d1, which is equal to 6. d2 upon 2, 2 ho jayega. And then as I've said earlier, you can just memorize the expanded version for this. So it's going to be n squared minus 3n plus 2. 2 and 2 gets cancelled out. And now all you have to do is just simplify this. So 4 plus 6n minus 6 plus n squared minus 3n plus 2. Okay. Now if you simplify this, let's see what do we get. So here's what we get. N squared. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 gets cancelled out, so might as well completely ignore it. 6n minus 3n is plus 3n. So n squared plus 3n is your final answer. Now I know some of you might say that this is a lot of working for 2 marks, but that's how it is. So I have a humble request for you that you can make a guest paper, but I don't do guest papers, okay? I'm really sorry. It's best that you prepare for the entire syllabus. I mean, see, it doesn't make sense. It's unfair that you work so hard and now at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, you're now relying on a guest paper. So if you've solved enough past papers, then I'm sure you would know yourself what are the topics that are important and what are the topics that aren't important. And just because a topic isn't important doesn't mean that you have to skip it. Okay, it's just that it carries less marks. Okay, so I don't do guest papers. All right, you'll find a lot of people doing guest papers. You can check those out. But again, at the end of the day, it's a gamble. Okay. Acha, sir, the syllabus for number sequences is the same. No, in O levels you have. Okay, in O levels you don't have cubic sequences. Okay. Sir, mensuration और trigonometry के concepts नहीं clear हो रहे हैं, मतलब कौन से question कैसे solve करना है, कौन सा. Beta, keep practicing. Okay. Keep practicing. Make sure that you understand when sine rule is used. Make sure you understand when cosine rule is used, and that's the best thing that I can say. Okay. English tips. I'm sorry, you're asking the wrong person. So in geometric progression sequence, do we have to simplify further? It depends. If the question isn't asking you to write it down in a specific manner, then you don't have to simplify further. Okay. Okay. 4C. Then it says, diagram R has 10,300 small lines. Find the value of R. Okay. So we're talking about small lines here, and we just worked out the general term for small lines. So n square plus 3n equals to what? Is equals to 10,300. अच्छा मुझे बताओ ये जो मैं इसको solve करने के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We can use middle term breaking, which actually will take forever. So I would strongly suggest that you use the quadratic formula. Okay. Shift to Lahore. Nah, I like Karachi more. Karachi has better food. Okay. So n is equals to what? N is equals to 100. So I've used a calculator over here, okay, just to save some time, and n equals to minus 103. So obviously we can't go with minus 103, n equals to 100. Lahore has better roads, but Karachi has better food, I'm afraid. So there you go. That's the answer. Sir, go to 741 of the live stream. He solved similar. Oh, okay. All right. Question 4 party. The number of dots in diagram n is an squared plus bn plus 1. Find the value of a and the value of b. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question. Let's see the number of dots. 4, 8, 13, 19. Okay, let me see if I can remember that. 4, 8, 13, 19. Now there are 2 ways you can solve this question. One is obviously by Karachi has जेब कतरे. Okay. Well, I'm sure Lahore में भी होंगे. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Air quality in Lahore. Yeah, that's questionable. Not that Karachi is very clean, but yeah, at least it's not known for bad air. Acha khair, I don't want to start a debate over here. I genuinely like Lahore वैसे, but not enough to move over there. 4, 8, 13. Islamabad, yeah. Islamabad can be considered. It's a very peaceful city. Anyway, so let's so एक काम करते हैं इसमें हम एक let's use what we used earlier. So T1 equals to what? T1 equals to 4. T2 equals to what? T2 is equals to 8. Okay. So let's plug in 1. So you have A into 1 squared plus B into 1, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 4. Is A, in fact, plus 1. I forgot the plus 1. Plus 1 equals to 4. So you have A plus B equals to 3. So that's one equation. Okay. And then let's plug in 2. So A into 2 square plus B into 2 plus 1 and set it equal to 8. Okay. So now we have 4A plus 2B, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 7. Here's the second equation. A ko subject bana lo. A is equals to 3 minus B. Either plug in kar lo. So 4 into 3 minus B plus 2B equals to 7. So 12 minus 4B plus 2B equals to 7. Solve this. So 12 minus 7 kya ho jayega? 12 minus 7 is going to be 5. 5 is equals to 2B. B is equals to 2.5. Let me see if that's correct. Sounds all right. Yeah, so B is equals to 2.5. And then let's find out the value of A. A is equals to 3 minus B. Okay, so A is equals to 3 minus 2.5. So A is equals to 0.5. There you go. सर कराची में लाहौर भैया बहुत कहते हैं ऐसा तो नहीं है. Karachi has land pollution, Lahore has air pollution, divided by 2 plus. That's correct. सही कह रहे हैं आप. Okay, Karachi has sea view, which Lahore doesn't have. Okay. Anyway, so question number 5. Sir, please make a video on important questions. I've already made a video in which I've highlighted paper 2 के लिए कौन से questions important है और paper 1 के लिए. Okay, so you can watch that. But if you're asking for like a guest paper, अगर आप guest paper पूछ रहे हैं और आपने if that's what you're looking for, then I'm sorry, I don't do guest papers. ठीक है. So when to use simultaneous equation कब use करते हैं? Okay, so the thing is here we have two unknowns, right? Here the value of C is given. So that's why I used simultaneous equation. Although I could have done it the other way as well. I could have found the general term of a quadratic sequence like we normally do. वैसे भी कर सकते थे. But यहाँ पे क्योंकि दो unknowns निकालने हैं, so इसलिए दो equations बना के आसानी से हो सकता है. ठीक है? Okay, now the table shows the first 5 terms of sequence A and B. So we have sequence A. And then we have to find out. Okay, so we just need to complete the table. So Karachi's argue that Karachi only has sea view, but you forgot better food. Karachi has better food. So how do you go from 7 to 13? You add 6. Okay. And how do you go from 13 to 23? You don't add 6, you add 10. And then how do you go from 23 to 37? You add 14. Let's see, 55 minus 37, so that's 18. So following the same pattern, 55 plus 22 करेंगे तो हमारे पास आ जाएगा 77. ठीक है. अच्छा, now let's look at sequence B. So sequence B को अगर हम देखें, so that's a tripling sequence. You have 1, 3, 9, 27, 81. So you're consistently multiplying by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So that means 81 times 3, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 243. Okay. Then it says find the nth term of sequence A. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. The nth term of sequence A. So this is going to be a quadratic sequence. Okay, now I don't know इसके लिए जगह इतनी कम क्यों दी हुई है. I think that's probably the fault of the compilation of the worksheet, not by default. So anyway, 7 to 13, the difference is 6. Okay, 13 to 23, the difference is 10. 23 to 37, the difference is 14. That's good enough. The difference of the difference is 4. So we find out the general term of quadratic sequence, which is equal to A plus n minus 1 into D1 plus d2 upon 2 into n minus 1 into n minus 2. Okay, so a is 7. 7 plus n minus 1. So 7 plus n minus 1 into the first difference, which is 6, plus the difference of the difference into n square minus 3n plus 2. Okay, so now from this point onwards, just a whole lot of simplification to do. 7 plus 6n minus 6 plus 2n square minus 6n plus 4. So thankfully 6n minus 6 cancel ho gaya, and now you have 2n square. 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 plus 4 equals to 5. And there you go. That is the answer. Okay. Now as far as part 2 is concerned, part 2, like I said, it's a tripling sequence. So that means the formula that we're going to use is for a geometric sequence. So a is 1, 3 to the power n minus 1. So that's it. That's your answer. 3 to the power n minus 1. The answer to part 2. 3 to the power n minus 1. Let me double check. Yep, that's correct. Okay. Sir, I'm aapko Johnny Jugnu. Johnny Jugnu, is that even a real place? Yeah, I agree with that. Lahore is relatively safer than Karachi. Can't deny that. Sir, can you give me tutoring online or face to face? If I come to Pakistan, what? You're gonna come to Pakistan only to be tutored by me? Okay, I appreciate that. But, well, you have YouTube, so no need to come to Pakistan. Anyway, so next question. This, I think, is the last question. Yeah, it's the last question. It has 4 parts. So let's do it. So let's see what it says. It says the table shows. Did I miss? No. Okay, great. I thought I missed a part for the previous question. The table shows the first 5 terms of sequences A, B, and C. So you have sequence A, sequence B, and sequence C. Complete the table. So how about you guys try this question? So I'll give you guys 2 minutes. आप try करें. Sir, जिन्हें लाहौर नहीं देखा. Okay, what does that even mean? I've seen Lahore, like I've been to Lahore. It's not like I haven't been to Lahore. I've been to Lahore a couple of times. Well, since I was there in winter, so I really like the weather. You know, Karachi में इतना सही वाला winter हमें मिलता नहीं है. So Lahore वाला winter was something to look forward to, and I really like the roads. Road, I think Karachi से बाहर हर जगह की अच्छी हैं, sadly. 25, 9, 16. Yeah, that's correct. So the 6th term is going to be 25. And then let's see what we have here. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So yeah, that's 9. And let's see what we have over here. Plus 0, plus 2, plus 4, plus 6, and now plus 8, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 16. Good job. Sir, who is animatics? You don't know who animatics is? Okay, B part 1. B part 1 says find an expression for the nth term of the first part, which is sequence A. Okay, so since you can see that this is basically what you're squaring is not the term, you're basically squaring 1 less than the term. So this is 1 minus 0 squared, this is 2 minus, no, sorry, not 1 minus 0 actually, 1 minus 1 squared. Okay, let me write this nicely. This is 1 minus 1 squared. This is 2 minus 1 squared. Okay. This is 3 minus 1 squared. This is 4 minus 1 squared. And this is 5 minus 1 squared. So the general term would basically be n minus 1 squared. Okay. So what we are squaring is always 1 less than the term. Okay. But you guys might see him as my rival, but I don't see him as my rival. I have a lot of respect for what he's doing. I think जितना उन्होंने A-level का content बनाया, I really don't think anyone in A-levels has to take tuitions. I think he's made plenty of content for so many students. Sequence B. Yeah, next time I come to Lahore, I have this in my list that I'm going to meet him, inshallah. Sequence B. Okay, so sequence B में अगर हम देखें, so sequence B is a pretty straightforward sequence. You have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a linear sequence, okay, with the difference 1. So the general term would be 4 plus n minus 1 into 1. So what's that equal to? That's equal to 4 plus n minus 1, which means Tn is equals to n plus 3. There you go. Okay, now 6c. Let's see what that says. So 6c says find the value of n for which the nth term of sequence A is 576. Okay, so the nth term of sequence A is 576. That means n minus 1 the whole thing square equals to 576. Okay, so please do not waste your time trying to expand n minus 1 the whole thing square. Just take the square root on both sides. So 576 ka square root loge, that's 24. Okay, and what is n equal to? N is equals to 25, and there you go. That's your answer. Okay, then D part 1. Find an expression for the nth term of sequence C. Give your answer in its simplest form. Okay, so let's see if we can find out. Now, nth term निकालने का पता है एक और आसान तरीका है. Since we've already done the hard work, since we've already worked out what the general term of sequence A is, it's n minus 1 squared, and we've already worked out what the general term for sequence B is n plus 3. So all we have to do is just subtract the 2. Okay, and why am I subtracting the 2? Because if you notice, if you try and observe a pattern, you'll notice, okay, 25 minus 9 equals to 16, 16 minus 8 equals to 8, 9 minus 7 equals to 2, 4 minus 6 equals to minus 2, 1 minus 5 equals to minus 4. Okay, so here we have n minus 1, the whole thing square, minus n plus 3. So n square minus 2n plus 1 minus n minus 3. So here we have n square minus 3n. Because the question says simplify, so we have to simplify. N square minus 3n minus 2. There you go. That's your answer. Okay, then it says find the value of the 30th term of sequence C. Okay, so sequence C में आपने क्या करना है? आपने सीधे सीधे n की जगह 30 लगा देना है. So n square minus 3n minus 2 is tn. So t30 का मतलब है just plug in 30 in place of n. So 30 square minus 3 into 30 minus 2. Okay, so let's work this out. 30 square is 900 minus 90 minus 2. That's it, so 900 minus. Now, one thing I really like about IGCSE is calculator is allowed. 800 in it. दिमाग पे ज़्यादा जोर देने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. So there you go. 808 is your final answer. Okay, so. Sad lead by math into cinematics. So we've spoken, we've gotten to know each other through YouTube. He's not exactly. That's how I got to know about him. Okay. But we've never met. So like I said, next time I come to Lahore, I'm definitely going to meet him, inshallah. Sir, please remove all your February March. My friend got copyright because there are leaked papers. The whole channel got banned. Is that true? Really? They're not leaked papers. Okay, I'm going to look into that. I appreciate. Thank you for telling me. I'll definitely look into that. Hello from Pakistan. Ivana, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. How can it be banned immediately? I think you first get a strike or something. But chalo, thank you. I'll remove it from. I'll make it private. Yeah. नहीं inshallah ये नौबत नहीं आएगी अहमद मसूद. Although I appreciate that. Sir, can you expand brackets as your answer in? What do you mean? Sir, can you tell us where you got the most recent? I got it from Reddit. I say, come to think of it, I didn't get it through legal means, so it's possible that what you're saying is right. But official document कैसे leak हो सकता है? खैर, anyway, I appreciate that, Ahmed. I'll definitely look into it. I'll take it down. I'll hide it. Yes. Could you do sequence A again? Okay, so sequence A is simply the square of one less than the term that you're on. So if you're on the third term, you're squaring 2. If you're on the fourth term, you're squaring 9. If you're on the fifth term, you're squaring 4. So if you're on the nth term, you would square one less than n. Okay. Sir, the video gets a title regarding copyright. So is there a workaround? What if I like change the name of the video or something? Which subreddit? IGCSE के नाम से एक है r/IGCSE. No, they're not scanned copies. They're not scanned copies. Scanned copy होती तो फिर it would have been very clear कि it's a scanned copy. They're not even scanned copy. They're like proper PDFs, just like you have for any other past paper. मैथ ओ लेवल के लिए टिप्स ओ लेवल का एग्ज़ाम करीब आने दो अभी तो ओ लेवल के एग्ज़ाम में टाइम है खैर इसका मतलब नहीं है दैट यू गाइस स्टार्ट स्लैकिंग इट्स जस्ट दैट आई एम पुटिंग IGCSE एंड AS ऑन प्रायोरिटी बिकॉज उनका एग्ज़ाम पहले है सो दैट्स व्हाई सर वाचिंग यू डजंट इवन फील लाइक आई एम स्टडीइंग आई होप दैट्स अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट yes I do teach at Nixer yes sir will you be solving more save my exam questions yeah Save My Exams has good worksheets, so I will be solving more of them. Let me know what topic you guys want me to solve. I'll probably do a Q&A on my Instagram, so you guys can let me know. Urdu mein, I would love to teach in Urdu. I would love to make all my content in Urdu, but the thing is I have a lot of students from outside of Pakistan, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh. Although students from Bangladesh do understand Urdu, but unke liye I try and make sure कि मैं English में ही बनाऊँ ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. Sir, it's their fault. Their papers get leaked after a month. Well, they honestly, come to think of it, their papers get leaked immediately after the exam. Even while students are doing the exam, the papers get leaked. Sir, my brother made a channel and screen recorded edits his videos with titles as copyright claim or something. So don't worry, you'll know before they do anything. Okay, I'll just go on the video and see if अगर उसमें कोई इस तरह का कोई issue आया हुआ है. O-level students, I wouldn't suggest you guys watch this. I made another video on number sequences. I did another live stream, in fact, a couple of weeks ago. You guys can watch that. Okay. Achha, so I teach at Nixer O-levels, not at Nixer A-levels. Okay. Chale. So I'm going to stop here, boys and girls. I will, inshallah, do another live stream. I'll announce another live stream soon. Let me know what topics you guys want me to stream next. Taha, I'm using PDF Expert. So this was pretty quick. Next thing, I think next I'll probably be doing a yearly past paper. I'll probably be doing October, November 2022. Okay. I think at this stage, yearly past papers will help you more than any topic.